Welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast. I am your host that is now does not have a background because we are 99.9, 95% packed. We'll go with 95. We still got a few more days. And then the next time our lovely viewers will see us, I will have a new setup. I'm unsure what that will entail, but you know what? It's going to be better than this. And I'm really excited about it. Jason, I'll have to have you over, maybe watch a Sox game or something one day. You can just like take a plane or something.
Oh, for sure.
It is my favorite part of the week is the cold open question of the week. And Jason, I know I asked you a moving question this past last week, but this time I have a decoration question. If you were to say, what is your input on decorations that go inside of your house? And if you have any at all, what's your like favorite thing to put somewhere? Ready, set, go. All right, Jason. I also know it's different because you have like a house, so there's a lot more space to put things, but still the same sentiment.
Yeah. I don't have much say when it comes to like the mutual or like the areas where like the common area, like the front room and the living room and the kitchen, things like that. But in every house that I've had some sort of like, whether it be a man cave. Right now I have a garage mahal. Where I can just I never heard that before.
A garage mahal? No.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a detached 2.5 car garage that does not store any of our cars. It has like couches, big screen TV, stereo system, garage fridge.
King of Queens.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just picturing you being Doug Heffernan with his buddy like Deacon, just opening up the beer fridge, sitting down and just watching fucking Bears.
That's basically what my garage is. It's not. I'm not even kidding. It's like 2 old couches that we no longer use in the house. There's a garage fridge full of beer, big screen TV. Yeah, we just hang out. And my favorite thing is I've been growing a collection of whether it be any kind of neon beer signs or just regular beer signs. I'm up to 4 different neons right now. All have to be Miller. So I have 2 Miller High Lifes. I have a Miller Light, and then I have just a regular Miller sign. It just says Miller.
Miller your go-to like regular beer?
Yeah, Miller Light or Miller High Life is my go-to regular beer. Champagne of beers. I'm trying to watch my LBs, so I've been doing Miller Light. But yeah, Miller High Life is probably my favorite beer.
Wow. All right. Nice.
Yeah. So to answer your question about decorations, it's my man cave or my garage right now is where I can hang. I can hang up whatever I want, and don't have to worry about getting any backlash on that.
Yeah. I'm very lucky that I have a very good eye. So I know things that will look nice. And my lovely wife is into 99% of the things that I will put up. So that's good. But sometimes there are things like I have in this apartment we live in now, 0 space, 500 square. Like I can touch every fucking wall.
Yeah.
But I have 2 of my most prized possessions are stored in my parents' basement. One being a Jaylen Brown signed basketball, and the other one being a Jason Tatum signed basketball. We just have no place to really put them. So one day down the line, we do have a spot where I can have that garage mahal, or just like a little office area. Maybe the next place. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those
absolutely.
Out. I mean, they're increasing in value.
Yeah, so, absolutely. By every season that goes by. All right.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into this week's topics, let's get over some of this, some of the business aspect here. Do you want to get access to the most accurate fantasy baseball rankings right now? Rest of the season rankings are really important when it comes to talking about trade targets, things like that. We also have DFS and betting projections. You can get custom league advice on our Discord, which is always fun. I love, getting those questions on league advice. You can do that in our Discord by becoming an all access member. You can do that by signing up at fantasysixpack.net/plans. You can see it right here at the bottom of the ticker there. Become a member of our all access membership. Speaking of custom league advice, before we get into the topic, we just got our first comment on the show. It's a question. MP31 says, someone dropped Edwin Diaz, and should I try and get him after his slow start?
MP, I actually traded for Edwin Diaz today in my Dynasty League. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's coming back next week from suspension. I believe it's 10 games, so I think it's I believe he starts tonight. Starts the suspension tonight. So he'll be back at some point next week. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. You're not just going for saves with him because he does have the high K upside. So like you're contributing to the K per 9 depending on what your settings are. But Edwin Diaz is Edwin Diaz. He's a top 5 closer in baseball, and you just kind of gotta go with the ebbs and flows because they can go through months of being bad and then just be elite for the end of the year. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you go into the mindset of like, hey, I'm going to stash Edwin Diaz right now and hope that he turns it around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go picking him up expecting immediate results and saves. I don't know if you can count on that, but if you can go in and you have like the bench spots available, absolutely grab him, stash him on your bench, and maybe in a couple of weeks all of a sudden he's back to that elite closer and he's get you about another 20 saves rest of this year, 15 saves. So
it really all depends on who you're cutting too. Like don't cut like a great player, like someone that's contributing for you now. But if you have that like end of bench guy, like a utility guy that you plug in every now and then, it might be worth doing that swap.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, this week we're going to be talking about some of the biggest surprises, whether it be guys that are outperforming their ADP or just came out of nowhere and we're like, wow, didn't no one saw this coming, which happens every year. And as well as a couple of surprises where we thought this guy was going to return his, first, second round value or wherever it may be, and we're just not quite getting those results that we were expecting to begin the year. Now, I wanted to take this moment to talk about Elly De La Cruz, but I didn't want to count him as one of our players because there were high expectations for Elly De La Cruz, and I just wanted to bring up the fact that he has lived up to that expectations. I looked it up before the season. He was an ADP of like late 20s, early 30s. So depending on what size league you are in, second, third, or fourth round pick in a lot of leagues. I think in TGFBI he had an ADP. I know in FBC he had an ADP of 22. Currently, right now on Fantrax, he's the 22nd overall ranked player and the second best shortstop. So I think it's just an honorable mention that I don't know if it's necessarily a surprise. It's just more of the doubts are gone, I think. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought we would be talking about him in this segment underperforming for his draft value, but so strikeouts are still somewhat of an issue. If you take that out, he's like an MVP candidate. Like, that's how great he's been.
No, I agree. He's been everything short of amazing. I don't know if you saw the home run last night. I didn't get I wanted to pull up the official StatCast data on it. I didn't get a chance. I don't know the actual. Did you see the distance on it? But it was.
I did not. I also Vlad Guerrero hit an absolute moonshot last night too.
Yeah, there were some big bombs last night. But I know he hit it up on that steamboat in Cincinnati, which I guess it's at least over 450 in that area. I'm guessing maybe around that area. I don't know. Like I said I wanted to look it up. I ran out of time to get the StatCast data on it, but that thing was a moonshot. So yeah, confirmed. Elly De La Cruz is good. We were talking about before pre-show. 37 stolen bases. I believe he had 30 of those 37 at the end of May. So I'd have to look up the splits, but is it possible that he only has 7 stolen bases in the month of June? It's possible.
He's hitting too many dingers.
Hitting too many dingers. Yeah, exactly. He's hitting all 4 baggers in one round. But yeah, there's an honorable mention out to Elly De La Cruz. He's good. But I think we need to start off our show with not only guys that are our biggest surprises, on a good note, but also I think not the biggest, but one of the most fun guys, and that's Jarren Duran of the Red Sox.
Jarren Duran, Jason, this is somebody that 3 years ago we were getting the big hype for him. Then he kind of like he was doing well, but then he kind of just nosedived in the last like year or two. This is a guy that was a top 10 prospect ish, depending on like lists. I'll give you like top 15, and then kind of just fizzled out. And then coming into this year, his value was incredibly low. I don't have his ADP in front of me, but someone that you could have gotten in the later part of your draft and just be like, well, he's still got speed as long as he gets on base, whatever. But Jason, he has been easily one of the best players in all of baseball.
Yep.
And it's even my like homerism could never have even dreamt up a scenario that Duran would be this good. We're talking about a guy right now who's batting .293. He's never hit that well, like ever, in this small sample, in this larger sample size. He has an OBP almost 360. His slugging is 488, and his OPS is 843. Just someone that's been so good. I think I saw a tweet today that said his WAR is like third in all of baseball, only behind I think one might have been Kyle Tucker, who's hurt currently, but just so good. And I'm so happy he's on my team. So it's fourth in all of baseball for B WAR. I'm unsure what that means. What is B WAR?
Oh, which that Fangraphs or
it was just a tweet by the MLB. So he's fourth in B WAR. He's second in doubles, first in triples, sixth in stolen bases, and fourth in hits. Just unbelievable. And it makes zero sense why this is just like suddenly clicking, just because he's almost at that age where you're like, okay, he just is what he is. But if this is what he is, like he might, if the Red Sox can kind of really pull through, he could get some MVP votes. Just like he'll never win it, but like in general, if they can make the playoffs, he'll be a gigantic reason why. He's been the best player on the team, and that team includes Rafael Devers, which is crazy.
Yeah, a couple things here. Real quick, I looked up Elly De La Cruz. He does only have 5 stolen bases in the month of June.
That's crazy.
He had 32 stolen bases at the end of May. That was before that. But anyways, yeah, Jarren Duran. He has. This is a shout out. I saw this tweet from our boy Eric Cross. Jarren Duran right now is on pace for 110 runs, 80 extra base hits, 40 stolen bases. Only 6 players have done that since 2000. Those 6 players are Ronald Acuna Jr., Hanley Ramirez, Jimmy Rollins, Alfonso Soriano, and Carlos Beltran. Those are the type of hitters that he's putting himself amongst with this pace in the season that he's having so far. I will mention that Bobby Witt Jr. is also on pace for that same stat line this year. But yeah, dude, he has 10 triples already this year and 20 stolen bases.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the pre-show too. He's been like not elite defender, but like a very good defender. And that was kind of a smaller knock because he's had some awful plays in the outfield. And like, I just know this because I was watching Red Sox games on a regular basis. Yep. But the plays that he's making now are just like, okay, like we can live with this. And his bat is elite and his speed elite.
Yeah, I'm here all for it. We talked about this, prior to the show. I have Jarren Duran on my hometown Dynasty League. I've had him forever, and I'm loving every minute that he is now, making those big contributions so far this year. I love it. I hope he keeps it up. All right, and now we're going to another surprise hitter that I thought, I don't know if it's necessarily a biggest surprise, but I'm talking about Jackson Merrill here for a minute. I think the biggest surprise was him actually making the opening day roster. There really wasn't much talk of him being on this roster in spring training. And then they went to that Korea series to begin the season out for MLB, and he was on that opening day roster. Right now, he's currently ranked as the 12th shortstop at 167th overall according to Fantrax. One more. I have to make this point about Jarren Duran. He's currently the 3rd ranked outfielder on Fantrax.
So good.
But so Jackson Merrill has already hit double-digit home runs. He's only 1 stolen base away from a 10-10 season. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. His approach to the plate has been great. He's only got a 16% strikeout rate, which is an 82nd percentile on StatCast. He's hitting over 280, which, we talked about this before with rookies. Sometimes some of the hardest struggles they have is hitting for a high average, striking out, getting those like elevated strikeout rates, 30%, 35%. He's only striking out 16% of the time. He's got an 800 OPS, and his expected stats all suggest that this is legit. This is who he is. He hits for high average, showing some power, showing some speed. He's absolutely deserved to be on that opening day roster, and I'm loving it. I know he was like, the thing with him is he was ever like a super highly rated. Yeah, he was top 100, but I don't think he ever got above like 50. Like he was always like 50 to 100 range. And he's coming up, and he's proving that he was worth all this hype at the beginning of the season. And to me, he's been not just a big surprise, but a consistent surprise. He's not one of those guys that's like spiked weeks from here to here, but he's been doing really well this year. So I think
he's found his power in the last like 2 weeks. I feel like he has like a home run almost every night. Like it's been crazy. Unfortunately, in my work league, which I'm in first place because obviously, but I cut him. I picked him up and cut him. And as soon as I cut him is when he hit all of the home runs. So that really bummed me out. But hey, I'm in on Jackson Merrill. He's been great. I think him and Jarren Duran, very similar like profiles as baseball players and as hitters. So I think that's kind of like a Spider-Man meme, like we're both the same guy.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think they're very similar. Okay, those were our hitters. Let's jump over to our pitchers now, and we'll start off here with a little bit of a shocker here with Eric Fedde.
Yeah, man. The White Sox are so odd. I feel like we touched upon this when we talked about Drew Thorpe last week, but Fedde was highly touted when he was with the Nationals. Yes, like he was like a top pitching prospect. Kind of just didn't pan out. Then went over to Korea. I believe it was Korea.
Yep.
Korea, and showed out. And I feel like there was a running joke on Twitter because there was a reporter that tweeted like Eric Fedde is going to make his decision tomorrow or something. And everyone was like, oh my God, like waiting on bated breath to see Eric Fedde's decision. But he's been so good this season. Almost a sub-3 ERA. He's got 5 wins. 5 wins on the I don't have in front of me just how many wins the White Sox have, but that's a gigantic portion. If I were to bet him and Crochet are probably 2 of the only starting pitchers that actually have wins for them. But definitely someone that I was impressed with because I didn't I was just like, okay, he's just like a number 5 starter. He'll be in and out, maybe out of the league in like a year or two. But whatever they did in North Korea with him has been elite. Like he's been so good and just so steady, just like a steady Eddie Fedde. Steady Eddie.
Nice.
Very good.
That was good.
That needs to be a t-shirt. But yeah, he's almost had 100 innings. He's got decent strikeout numbers, a low whip, a great ERA. Someone again that I've always harped on is just those pitchers that are good. They don't have to be great, but they're not going to lose you a week, but their contributions will make you win a week.
Yeah, I think he's probably about like 40% of their White Sox wins because I think they might only have like 13 or 14 wins, and he has, say, 5 of them. He has 5 wins. Yeah, so he's pushing like 40%.
They have 21 actually.
Oh. You know what it was? They signed Tommy Pham like a month ago, and since then they've actually won a few more games.
He's just there for the culture.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, I've in general just very impressed with everything he's done. Just because I just always think about that tweet when people were just like, okay, Eric Fedde, like,
yeah, right.
White Sox, oh, this is going to make us better. But you know what? He's been great, and I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him.
Oh
Honestly.
yeah, he'll definitely be traded. That's the perfect signing. What the White Sox needed to do is sign a guy like that, hope that he performs like he's doing, and then dump him
Trade
for a
him
bunch
the
of
Yankees
prospects.
or the Red Sox. Somebody
Exactly.
like that's like on that cusp of an actual like run.
Yeah, exactly. And then he'll even increase value once he gets dealt off to one of these contenders.
For sure.
All right, so from a White Sox to another, down to a former White Sox. That's Reynaldo Lopez of the Braves, who's actually not just. I mean, this is like a guy that was probably ADP
Another
of like a
pitcher.
Yeah, another Nationals pitcher too. I mean, this guy, I don't know what he was ranked before the season, but he's currently ranked as a 37th pitcher and 45th player overall on Fantrax. I mean, this one's wild. Like I said, he was probably like not even drafted in a lot of 12-team leagues. Maybe like a late round dart throw. He currently, I saw the stat today when I was looking it up. He has the lowest ERA in the history of his first 13 starts with Atlanta, beating out Greg Maddux. Right now, Reynaldo Lopez only has a 1.57 ERA, and he has just barely above a 1.0 WHIP. The K rate's been awesome. The Ks have always been there with Lopez. He's always had that strikeout capabilities. He's got 26% K rate right now with a 28% CSW. The strikes have not been the issue, or strikeouts have never been an issue for him. It's always been the home runs and the runs. But right now, it's as big of a surprise that it is. There's still some smoke and mirrors here. It still allows a ton of hard contact. His xERA is almost 2 runs higher than his normal ERA right now. I think he was pushing like almost a 4 ERA. An xERA. So while it is awesome to see right now, and just another classic Atlanta Braves situation where they take these pitchers or develop these pitchers and the super mega stars. That's happening here again with Reynaldo Lopez in the first half of the season. But I would assume some regression comes here with Reynaldo Lopez because at some point he's going to turn back into that pumpkin. The clock's going to strike midnight and he will turn back into a pumpkin. So I would assume. I can't say that he's not going to. He's always been highly touted. The skills have been there. He's never been all clicked together at once. Maybe sometimes it takes to get into an organization like the Atlanta Braves, and then all of a sudden you turn yourself around.
Yeah.
But he was super shocking to see where he was at.
So would you flip him if you could?
Again, in fantasy?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. In both redraft and Dynasty.
Yeah,
in Dynasty, 100%. And then even in redraft, I'd probably look to flip him. All right, those are our biggest surprises that are doing well that we did not expect. Let's get into some of these guys that are dwindling away at the bottom of these ranking lists. Start off with everyone's preseason draft season darling, and it's Nolan Jones.
Yeah, man, I'm really bummed about this. Mostly just because I completely bought into all of it. I'm still actually holding out hope, and honestly, if this was like a buy sell, I'd probably say buy Nolan Jones, but definitely someone that was around the top. He was probably around top 60, right? Like a top.
Yeah, he was 60 to 75 ADP.
Yeah, and he got hurt. He started to kind of figure it out because it was like that first month was just god awful.
Yeah,
and like he strung some games together. Then he got hurt, and then he was coming back. Then he got hurt again in his rehab assignment. So he is officially back now. He's gotten some hits. He's getting the OBP, I believe, before he came back was like 320. And now it's, at 220. And now it's at 297. So the numbers are starting to number. The math is starting to math. So I do think we're on an upward trend, but that injury really just screwed us because I really think it's just so hard with the Rockies because you really can't tell if it's the player or if it's the atmosphere or if the team's dumb or if they suck. It's just like a big kind of kerfuffle. So I think this is just kind of teaching me to just stay away from the Rockies. And that's okay with me. I think we spoke about the shortstop last week.
Yep.
And yes, yeah. and we were kind of buying in, but I think Nolan Jones will be the last Rocky to hurt me in the next 5 years. I'm swearing off Rockies.
Yeah.
5 years.
I think with the Rockies, you can't like we all did. I was you in the preseason. I bought in. Just can't reach for him, right? Like if Nolan Jones fell to you in like the 11th round, you're like sick. Reaching for him in like the 6th or 7th round, you're like shit. And I think everyone was counting. We saw that 2020 season last year. Like, oh wow, this guy's actually contributing stolen bases and power numbers. And I just don't think we're going to see that again this year, or maybe never ever from Nolan Jones again. That 2020 season we got last year, that may be his peak fantasy season.
It was so good. And
so good.
Like, oh, I think I said 30-30.
And like our bold prediction or something.
Yeah.
Well, from one disappointment to the next, it's going to be our boy BIchette, who is currently ranked as the 26th shortstop and 439th overall player on Fantrax. Huge disappointment. We saw a little bit of struggles last year in 2023, but we're like, or I, as I'm like, this is BIchette. We saw him really, really perform really well. We saw the power, we saw the speed, and the power is just non-existent right now. Currently only has 4 home runs. He has a career low 342 slugging right now, which is like most people have like good players have OBPs better than 342. He's only slugging 342. The barrel rate is way down, and he has had some bad luck. The BABIP is a career low right now at 271. But again, similar to what we wanted out of Nolan Jones, I think the 2020 seasons that we were used to getting from BIchette at the shortstop position, being that top 3-5 shortstop in redraft, I think those days may be gone. I think some adjustments have been made towards him. I don't know exactly what's going on with him, but like I said, the power numbers are just not there anymore. I don't know. I like BIchette, and maybe he's the type of guy that needs. There's been rumors of him being traded here at the deadline.
Just change the scenery.
Maybe a change of scenery, something that can. He's the type of guy that change of scenery could project him back into that perennial all-star player that we were used to seeing. But as of right now, I don't think we can count on that for any time. And definitely not this year. And TBD for the rest of his career. I'm not saying it'll be a bad player. He's really good at shortstop still, but for fantasy wise, I just don't know if we're ever see those like 25 and 20 stolen base seasons anymore. Yeah,
it's so funny because he's not old, but like he's almost old. So it's just kind of like, he'll probably get traded. He won't have the Blue Jays won't have a shortstop because he just got popped for PEDs, but. Yeah, just like I can see him on the Braves and just being unbelievable for no reason.
I know. Like I said, he's definitely the type of guy that will get traded and become that, 25 home run player again, and then the Blue Jays are going to be like, shit, what did we do?
Exactly.
All right, let's get on to our pitchers here and our disappointments this year. And why don't you go ahead and talk about all closers?
Yeah, Jason. So along with the no Rockies for 5 years, I'm done with closers everywhere. This is for saves only because in saves and holds, I've been done with closers.
Yeah.
But I'm talking every closer I drafted has either been hurt, and obviously not like lower end closers, but like I think in either TGFBI or Nerf, I think I went like Edwin Diaz and Devin Williams, and it's just like, nope, this ain't happening. So you just kind of got to like I was looking at the save leaders. Like Trevor Mengill has 16 saves. Like that's fine. Ryan Helsley.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So he leads the league in saves. So the difference between those two is not like huge. Even like, dude, these are so. Kyle Finnegan is third in saves.
Yep.
So number 2 is Emmanuel Clase, who is an elite closer. I will give you that. But you know what? He doesn't strike anybody out. So like that's just like a one category guy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just me kind of airing my grievances on closers in general.
Yep.
Because even like Mason Miller, electric, great. But you know what? Plays for the A's. So like
And he's been blowing saves a lot lately
he's been
too.
blowing saves. Just there's Robert Suarez. Could have got him in the 15th round. Just there's so many different there's just more value in drafting hitters or starting pitchers over these high-end closers just because
Yep.
you're like, well, their job's safe. Yeah, it's safe, but they suck or they get hurt.
Yeah.
So, done.
Another name to that list is Josh Hader. I have many shares of Hader.
Don't even get me started on Josh Hader.
Including TGFBI. I think I took him like 3rd round. And
Awful.
he has just been pitiful.
Even just the Astros suck.
Yeah, exactly. And then when he does get the save opportunities, if it's a 1-run save situation, hold on to your, because it's going to be a rough ride. Because he's been, he's been up and down all year. The problem too, though, is a lot of these teams aren't moving on from their closer, so you can't even go hunt for saves on the waiver. I've been trying to hunt for saves and holding guys. Like at the beginning of the year, I grabbed Yanir Cano. Be like, oh yeah, Kimbrel, he'll lose that job at some point. He's still holding on, which he's actually been good lately. But for the most part, chasing saves has been impossible this year. I'm currently like in 15 out of 15, I think, or 14 out of 15 in saves in TGFBI because I only had Hader. I was like, I got Hader. This will be good enough to get me through the season. I'll chase a couple more, and then that's it.
You're like, I'll just draft the one stud, and then nope, nothing.
Yeah, it's been so bad with the closers, and I agree with you. It's been one of our biggest surprises. I think like you said, we got like Class A and Helsley, and then the rest have just been god awful. All the high end closers, it's just been like take your pick on any of the guys that are going to get anywhere near the bottom. Say like, but the problem with Helsley is I think he was at mid tier, but he was like the top of that mid tier, right? Like everyone missed out on the top tier closers, and like he was like that next guy. So either you took a high end guy and now you're paying for it, or you waited and got a little bit of lucky and got Helsley with that like in the 5th or 6th round or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you. The closers have been really bad this year. Another guy from all the closers to one guy, and this one's a little bit of a shock, but also not a shock when we talk about it. That's Blake Snell of the Giants. We're talking about the reigning Cy Young winner from 2023. And you pretty much almost pinpoint his struggles down to having no spring training. He right now ranks as the 427th pitcher on Fantrax. A lot of that has to do with his, I think, 6 starts. So now he's currently on the IL with shoulder soreness. But before going on the IL, he had a 9.5 ERA. He still had the swing and miss stuff. 32% whiff rate, 26% K rate. But when you're talking about a guy like a reigning Cy Young, and now we're coming up on the All-Star break in a couple weeks, and he's only made 6 starts. That's and the injury could have been avoided if I shouldn't say could have been. Most likely would have been avoided if he had spring training, or if at least he would have gone to spring training, made like 6 1-2 inning starts. We would have only missed like maybe the first week or two, and now here we are. He, I think, is not even throwing bullpens yet. We're on June 24th. So again, without having him in spring training, people weren't really drafting him at a high rate. But just a sheer fact that we've seen the good Snell Young, that is combined Cy Young and Blake Snell and the Snell Young, whatever. Blake Snell. With being the reigning Cy Young, I think you got to mark him up as a disappointment here so far in 2024.
Yeah, it's the whole just like the matter of this type of injury isn't like I get it is a sport injury, but it's kind of like a conditioning injury too. Like you just weren't ready to fully pitch in an MLB game because your agent kind of forced you to wait things out, and it didn't even work financially.
Yeah. real quick, Uncle Ted brings up a fun point. Padres going to have Becks Cy winner Snell and now Waldron. Why I want to bring that topic up is I tweeted this out the other day when Waldron pitched. Baseball is better when we have knuckleballers.
Yeah.
If you can't appreciate the knuckleball, you don't appreciate baseball. And I love every minute. Waldron to me has become almost appointment television. I will somehow try to, and lucky for me, I'm in Central Time. I get to stay up and watch a lot of those late night San Diego games. That's my favorite thing to do is watch late night baseball after the kids have gone to bed and such. And being able to watch Waldron on the West Coast has been awesome this year. I love knuckleballers. Make knuckleballs great again. That's my my little rant here for the end of the show. But before we go, we got one more thing to do. This one was hard. I have a pick. Go ahead.
I have a question for you after we do this.
Okay. I had a way better pick than what I have right now. Unfortunately, there was a game that started at like 6:10 Central Time. And I didn't want to. People wouldn't have time to put that bet in if they were tailing. But and that just for reference, that was Phillies money line, which we're missing right now. It's Scooble versus Rangers Juarez.
Yep.
So the minute I get off this podcast, I'm going to watch that. But I had Phillies money line. It was like minus 120. But instead of them, I'm going to go Angels money line tonight.
All right. I'm going Rangers minus 1.5.
Okay.
Which I didn't know who the hell the pitcher was for the Brewers. Like, I genuinely have no idea who it is. Hobie Miller?
Oh, yeah. He's one of the young kids. He's one of the young kids.
Okay. Speaking of young kids, Josh Giddey. How we doing?
Yeah, baby. I love it. Some people are a little bit down on it because obviously you're getting rid of Caruso. But to me,
Caruso is like a good vibes guy too.
He is a role. He's like, I think it was a great trade for both teams because that's the exact type of player that Oklahoma City needs.
Yep. Is
that like veteran? They already rely on their defense heavily in Oklahoma City. Now you get a veteran defender. And for someone like the Bulls getting a perfect buy low option on Giddey has me giddy.
Yeah, he has superstar upside for sure.
And I think he'll be able to get in here. Not that he was the like lone star in Oklahoma City, but he doesn't have to be that guy here either. I know he fell out of graces with that coaching staff. Wasn't he being benched in like the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah,
or not the semifinals?
I don't fully understand the Josh Giddey like thing.
Yeah,
I know there were some accusations which were
right.
which were not a thing, but I don't know if that contributed to his like falling out. But like, he's a great. I think if they convince Zach Levine or Levine to stay, I think they would work very well together.
And if we can get a healthy Lonzo Ball, who's supposed to be healthy coming into 2025, so
I don't think I don't think Lonzo ever plays a game for the Bulls again.
I'm in that boat. I don't think he comes back. He has come on record saying that he will be healthy this year, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But yeah, no, I'm pumped for Giddey. I sent you that text when it happened. I was like, let's go. Giddey to the Bulls. Draft tomorrow night.
I'm actually pretty pumped for the draft, although the draft is awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
Which makes
this draft is awful,
especially for like the Celtics who are picking at the end. So like you might just like you have just as good as a chance to draft somebody that's a stud.
Yeah, my biggest gripe too, and maybe I'm just bitter about it, but like the fact that you can like let's say the Bulls will draft a guy, and then like an hour later, they're like, oh no, we actually traded that guy to Portland. Now we're picking right now. I hate that, and that's why I'm bitter on it because it comes back to Tyrus Thomas for LaMarcus Aldridge. I will hate it for the rest of my life.
Nope.
The Bulls drafted LaMarcus Aldridge and then traded away for Tyrus Thomas, who was a complete bust.
But at least it's not Trae Young. At least it's not Luka. Like Luka, there's a picture of Luka with a Hawks hat on.
Yep.
That's awful.
That's worse. Yeah. But that's my biggest gripe about the NBA draft is like your team will draft a player, and then like 45 minutes later, they're like, no, actually they traded the rights to him and they got somebody else. It's like, damn it. You can't even get excited until the next day. I love them too.
Right.
I loved them too until about 3-4 seasons into the league. You're like, this guy stinks.
Like, this ain't it.
All right, Nick. Well, that's going to be wrap up our biggest surprise episode here. Any last words before we end this?
No, I'm pumped for the second half of the baseball season.
Yep. We'll see you next time.